Welcome back, children. In the previous video, I shared some part of Chapter 2, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. Now we have to proceed ahead. In the next part, dear children, I'm beginning with a few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe at the spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. The children, the line states that after a few moments, an array of South African jets, helicopters, troop carriers could be noticed piercing in the sky in a spectacular manner. Formation of the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision in military force, dear children, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy. Dear children, it was not a mere display, a simple display of popular pinpoint precision in military force. But it was more than that. It was a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy. It reflected that how the military was loyal to a democratic setup, to a new government which has been sworn in, that had been freely and fairly elected. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and Police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. After a few moments, what happened? The highest generals of the South African Defence Forces and the police forces, their chests were being decorated. Bedecked means decorated. Underline that. Bedecked. Their chests were bedecked means decorated with ribbons and medals from days gone by. Saluted me and pledged their loyalty, dear children. They pledged their loyalty that they would be loyal to the country, to the new government, which has sworn in recently. I was not unmindful of the fact, and Mr. Mandela says, that he was not unmindful of the fact, unmindful. He knew very well that not so many years before, they would not have saluted but arrested me. These were the people, these were the police personals, these were the forces only who might have arrested years back. But today, the situation was different. They were saluting me instead of arresting me. And finally, a caravan of Impala jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue, and gold of the new South African flag. And in the end, the Impala jets, they left a smoke trail of different colors. The smoke trail was of black, red, green, blue, and of gold color. All the colors which you can see in the South African flag. It was a wonderful moment for the country, for its newfound liberty, dear children. The day was magnificent. It was symbolized for me by the playing of two national anthems. And dear children, as you all know, that what importance a national anthem has for the countrymen, for the citizens of a country. That's why Mr. Mandela says that day was symbolized for me by the playing of two national anthems, not one but two. And the vision of whites singing Nkosi Sikhil Africa and blacks singing They Stand. The whole anthem of the Republic, although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised. They would soon know the words by heart. Although definitely they might be facing some difficulty in singing the lyrics of the anthem. That anthem which they once despised, they hated, very soon they would be able to know the words by heart. Dear children, on that particular day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. He says, he stressed, I was overwhelmed. Emotions were there. They were overpowering me with a sense of history. In the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War and before my own birth, the white-skinned people of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial dominion against the dark-skinned people of their own land. Dear children, in the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War, and after a few years of that bitter war, he's talking about that Anglo-Boer War, and even before my own birth, he says, even before the birth of Nelson Mandela, the white-skinned people of South Africa patched up the differences. The white-skinned people, the whites of South Africa, they patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination. And at the time, they erected a system of oppression. A system of racial domination against the dark-skinned people of their own land. Atrocities were inflicted on those blacks. The structure they created from the basis of one of the harshest, most inhumane societies the world has ever known. And my dear children, during that era of racial domination, the structure which they created formed the basis of one of the harshest and the most inhumane societies the world ever knew about. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century, dear children, and my own 8th decade, his own 8th decade mean to say, he was about 80, dear children. That system had been overturned forever. And he says with emphasis that the system of racial domination has been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognizes the rights and freedoms of all people, regardless of the color of their skin. And he emphasized upon that after overturning that entire system of white domination, they have been able to recognize the rights and freedoms of all the people, disregard of what color or skin they are of. And it was a victory of humanity, victory of those people who sacrificed themselves, who fought literally very hard for their rights. And it was a wonderful day in their life. That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people. And Mr. Mandela says, he stressed upon that this day was not being possible only by chance, but he tells you that unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of his people. Unimaginable sacrifice. You cannot even imagine how many people laid down their lives for this liberty, for their own people. People whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. And my dear children, those people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid, a lot of them laid down their lives. We even do not remember them. I felt that day, as I have on so many other days, that was simply the sum of all those African patriots. And he added that today, while taking oath, taking pledge as a president, I recollect that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots. I am a sum of all those African patriots who've gone before me, who laid down their lives for me, for this nation, for the liberty of this nation, for the rights of the blacks. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me. And that long and noble line of those people who sacrificed, it ended. And now began again with me. It has been the beginning of a new era, dear children, a new period. How's pain that I was not able to thank them? It's really painful to me. He realized his errors, his mistakes. He says that it is very painful for me that those people who have left for their heavenly abode after sacrificing themselves, I'm not able to thank them for their participation, and that they were not able to see what their sacrifices have wrought. And he was realizing that even those people were not present over there to see, to witness that what are the results of their sacrifices. Dear children, The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country, he said. He's saying that the policy of apartheid, it was a stigma, it was a blot on the name of humanity. And he says, the policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. And he added that it created a deep and lasting wound in my country. A deep wound was given. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. And he added that definitely it's going to take many years to come out of the situation mentally, and if not generations. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect. But he added that the decades of oppression and brutality, the atrocities, the cruelties which we faced had another unintended effect. And that was that it produced the Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sisulus, the Chief Luthelis, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bram Fishers, the Robert Sabkis of our time. He emphasized upon that their children, the circumstances forced to bring out characters and people. The adversities, they force you, they compel you to move ahead, to go against the tide and to come out victorious. And that's what they did. They went against the brutality. They went against the oppression, the cruelty. And that's why he has named some of the gentlemen here who laid down their lives. They lived in these difficult times, but they were not there to enjoy this beauty of success of their sacrifices. Men of such extraordinary courage. And Mr. Mandela called them men of such extraordinary courage, exemplary courage, wisdom, generosity, that the like may never be known again. And he further adds that the like of those people never be known again. Perhaps it requires such depths of operation to create such heights of character. Underline that. See the beauty of sentence, dear children. See the beauty. Perhaps it requires such depths of operation to create such heights of character. My country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil. He admits this fact, that South Africa is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath the soil. But I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people. He agrees upon that, no doubt, my country is rich in minerals and gems. But the greatest wealth of this country is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. And he called the people of his country diamonds, the purest diamonds. Dear children, gems are expensive stones, but people, he compares the people of his own country with purest diamonds. That is the real humanity. It is from these comrades in the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. And he further adds that from these comrades in the struggle, from these people, these friends in the struggle, I was able to learn the meaning of courage. True and again, time and again, I have seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea. I have seen people laying down their lives, risking their lives for an idea. I have seen men stand up to attacks and torture without breaking, showing a strength and resilience that defies the imagination. And he further adds that I have seen men who are standing up to attacks, to oppression, to torture, without losing their strength, without breaking. They were showing a great character, showing a great strength and resilience that even defies the imagination. You cannot even imagine such strength, dear children. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear. And he gives you a message, underline that. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear. He says that he has learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. You have to triumph over fear. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Once again, I request you to underline this line, dear children. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid. Fear is there. Fear is there in the heart of everyone. But somewhere down the line, we have to conquer that fear. He further added, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin. Dear children, this discrimination on the basis of color, caste, creed, race, this is all man-made. The Almighty had not distinguished on the basis of color, on the basis of caste. So, he said, no one is born hating another person. When a child comes out from the womb of a mother, he is a pure soul. He does not know the meaning of hatred. He does not know the meaning of oppression. He does not know the meaning of cruelty. But the kind of circumstances which he gets after coming to this world, he shapes himself according to that. So he says, another person because of the color of skin or his background or his religion, people must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. And he emphasized upon that people must learn to hate. Because love and hatred are the parts of the same coin. Because he says, love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Underline that. It's very important. Love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Even in the grimmest times in prison, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards. Perhaps just for a second, but it was enough to reassure me and keep me going. He gave an example of a guard who was there in the prison. And he said, I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards. Even just for a second. And it was enough to reassure me. And that single second was enough to reassure me, to affirm me, to strengthen me, to encourage me, to motivate me, to inspire me, to keep me going. Because this was a great struggle, dear children, and he has to go ahead with that. He further adds, underline this too. Man's goodness is a flame. What a beautiful line he's written down. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished, dear children. Never extinguished. Always remember this line. Make this line a part of your life. Man's goodness is a flame. It's a flame. It's an energy. It's a motivation that can be hidden. That can be latent somewhere. But it can never be extinguished, dear children. It can never be extinguished. So that's how I've been able to finish the second part. Some questions have been given over there. I hope you will do those questions too. Try to read them carefully and try to comprehend this entire text. Thank you very much.